Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm happy to be here with you today to talk about the breaking news that's just come out from the Associated Press, talking about the military troops and forces in Washington, D.C. Now, before we get to that, we do want to mention, if this is the first time that you're seeing the program, we do long-form political commentary here. And on every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you. We go to every news media, every social media outlet that we can, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and reach out to you so that you can speak with us directly, talking about the issues of the day and what you think, because we believe in the First Amendment. We look forward to seeing you every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, let's deal with what's going on today. Obviously, the big news at this moment, as it's just being reported, as you can see, is 2 National Guard members have been removed from inauguration duty after militia links found. Now, this is very important for reasons that have nothing to do with this story as you see it. To be clear, though, we see, and this is a story that's being circulated by the AP, the Associated Press, so all reports are the same report at this moment, that these 2 individuals have been removed because of ties to fringe right group militias, and I don't know what that means. In fact, no one knows what that means. There is no definition to that. There is no context to that. Literally, a tie to a group could be as simple as being part of a Facebook group with these individuals. It could be as simple as liking a couple of tweets by an individual or by an organization. We don't know what it means. It doesn't mean that they necessarily are members of the Klan, or that they're neo-Nazis, or that they're violent. It just means that they're somehow connected. They could have a cousin that is in a fringe right-wing group or a militia. But it asks us some questions. And something else that's important and very vital that we have to look at here is no plot against Biden has been found. No plot has been found. In fact, to my knowledge, there is no evidence of any threat, any credible threat throughout the nation. But the military has been activated. We are seeing that American citizens are being separated from our capitals across all 50 states and in Washington, D.C. The American people have been separated and isolated from our leadership. And let's remember, we, the people, are the leaders of this nation. These are our elected representatives, and they have isolated themselves, separated themselves from the American people. That is troubling in and of itself. But again, no plot has been found, and these are ties to fringe right group militias, whatever that means. Let me also mention, militias, by definition, are not illegal. They are not terrorist groups. Militias are legal and guaranteed by the Constitution itself. If you don't believe me, read your Constitution. But what I'm truly concerned about isn't this news. It's what's going on in Washington, D.C. So Mike Balsamo, who is a blue check on Twitter, he's the lead Justice Department and federal law enforcement reporter for the AP. He mentions that downtown Washington is basically a military and law enforcement fortress a day before the inauguration. There are checkpoints at nearly every corner, streets blocked off with giant trucks, and National Guard troops continue streaming in. It's actually more people than just that. Because when we think about it, there's 25,000 National Guard troops. There are 3,000 Capitol Police, actually 3,800 Capitol Police. There are 2,300 Metro DC Police. That means we're talking about over 30,000 people. And in fact, these 2 National Guard members would represent 0.007% of the total military and law enforcement forces that are in Washington, D.C. at this time. In fact, it's even less than that because there are some 27 law enforcement agencies all in Washington, D.C., many of them with troops or law enforcement agents. So we're talking about well over 30,000 troops and or law enforcement officials that are blocking off this capital, our nation's capital, from the American people for the most popular president by votes ever, which seems incredibly strange and confusing. But it gets worse. So there is the article from the Associated Press, and I want to show you. So this is on Twitter, the Associated Press, but there are some people who are responding to this, and I want to point out a couple of them because it's very important. Excuse me. First one I'm going to is a blue check, someone who is confirmed by Twitter, Shauna. I have no idea who she is because she doesn't tell us who she is. But Shauna believes that removing these two individuals is a good start. Now remove them from the National Guard too. What crime have they committed? What crime besides having some nebulous, unknown tie to some organization that we don't know the name of or what they believe? What we do know is they're right. By the way, Shauna, and for many on the left, if you don't realize it, almost the overwhelming number of people in the United States military and law enforcement tend to be right-leaning. That's a fact, which we would believe that some number of them voted against President Biden or President-elect Biden, which is an American right. In fact, 74 million people did that. So is that a crime now? Because it sounds like Shauna is saying that should be a crime, that because they are on the right, that they're criminals, and therefore they should be removed. They shouldn't be part of our nation, and they've done something wrong, which is insane. And by that standard, that means we have a military coup going on, and America has become a dictatorship, if we were to go by Shauna's definition. Another person, Kirsten Johnson. She's an actress, writer, recovery advocate, and I don't know who she is. No idea, and I don't care. But she is a blue check, and she says, how about removing them from the National Guard altogether? You idiot, you moron. Because what crime was committed? Have you forgotten that there is a Fifth Amendment that requires due process before someone can be punished? That there has to be proof. So the mere fact that these two, that's it, just two individuals are on the right, that is a crime all of a sudden, and they need to be punished. They need to be punished both in what they do for our nation. They volunteered to be part of the National Guard, and we have no reason to believe that they have done anything else wrong in their lives. And now they need to be punished because they're right-leaning, which is not a crime in America. Would you, Kirsten, also want to arrest them because they may be white, or maybe they're, I don't know, a different religion, or maybe they're not religious at all? How about we arrest you, Kirsten, because you're an actress and you're white? Therefore, you're privileged. And because of that privilege, you should be put in jail. It makes just the same kind of sense. This is insane. This is troubling. And it gets even worse, because if we actually look at the story from the Associated Press and look at some of the comments that are there, we see this woman saying, congratulations on defeating ISIS and creating a larger, whiter version of terrorism in our country. Wait a minute. So just because you may be connected to a militia, which is not a crime in America, and you are on the right, which is not a crime in America, I hope, then you are a member of ISIS? That is insane logic. That's like saying, well, you happen to be black and maybe you support BLM, so you're a member of ISIS. You're a member of Al-Qaeda. That's stupid. No one would agree with that. Why is this woman saying this? It should be. Is this not the kind of insurgency hate speech that we have heard Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Tammy Duckworth, Nancy Pelosi all denounce and say has to be removed from America? That this is someone who needs to be put into a re-education camp? I don't agree with any of those statements, but that's what we're hearing from our national leaders. And that's where this leads to. Let's see some of the other comments. There's no room for these extremists in the National Guard or anywhere in service. Do I see discharge papers being drawn up? For what? Again, what have they done? What crime? Where is the due process, the Fifth Amendment? Or does that not apply to people who don't agree with your political position? I don't believe that. I disagree with that. This is troubling and dangerous. And this is what the left has created. We see here's an intelligent thought. It would really be nice if you could contextualize this with the percentage of personnel that have been screened to find these two and what percentage remains to be screened. I find that important. Now, Chris says, I bet ties to fringe right means they watch Joe Rogan, which is possible. They may have heard Alex Jones. I don't know. Maybe they were listening to Louder with Crowder, Steven Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin. What does that mean? I don't know. And yet we're hearing people who are saying they need to throw these individuals out of the National Guard, that they should punish these individuals. We've seen people say they want to arrest these individuals. There is no due process in these statements. There is no crime that has been committed. This should terrify people that they are willing, that there are Americans out there, there are individuals out there who are willing to go publicly and make these accusations and prescribe these punishments for nothing. There is the danger. This is the problem with Washington, D.C. This is the problem with separating the American people from our elected officials. We create this environment that anyone who opposes that kind of thought, that kind of political position, should be thrown out. I'll ask you a question. We've got two people on the right who have been thrown out. What about people on the left? Now, while I said the military and law enforcement are overwhelmingly right-leaning, that doesn't mean they all are. What about those who have ties to Antifa, who have ties to BLM, who marched with BLM? And we know these people exist because they were at the Capitol. And members of Antifa, confirmed members of Antifa, who have been arrested, were at the Capitol. And therefore, shouldn't we be checking our National Guard and the law enforcement down there for being members of Antifa? They're radical leftists. We've seen the destruction they've done in Minnesota and in Portland, Seattle, New York City, Rochester. We can go through a whole list. Shouldn't they be checking for all extremists? Are they checking for all extremists, or is it only on the right? With these same people who are saying, don't give them the Fifth Amendment and punish them for being one political ideology, would they agree if we did the same thing to someone on the left? For those who have some kind of ties to fringe leftists and Antifa? Should we throw them out for that? Because maybe they marched with BLM and Antifa during all the protests about George Floyd. Should we have those people without due process, without the Fifth Amendment, and have them removed as well? Would you stand by that? And is that not just as troubling? Is that not as much of a danger? Is that not as much of a dictatorship? I am truly troubled by this. And there's many of these people. Shouldn't they be permanently removed? Here's someone who actually thinks Not everyone thinks the same way. No one is a programmed machine. And yet we hear these people who are openly saying it should be, that they should be programmed. You know what? I'm going to end it on this. If you are programmed, if everyone in the military, everyone in law enforcement could only be in there because they have the same exact thought, they have the same political position, not only are those machines, that is a dictatorship. That is a military dictatorship. And that is dangerous. We have seen that proven in history as long as we have had a history. We need to really slow down, and people need to really think about what's going on here. And that when we attack people and suggest these kind of punishments, we are literally destroying the Constitution. And that means that everyone is in danger because it is not free. That is not freedom. That is not democracy. That is not a representative democracy. That is a dictatorship. That is oppression. And that is a problem. But perhaps you disagree with us. Maybe you think we've missed something. Maybe we're misunderstanding these comments. Maybe we're misunderstanding the news that has just happened. If you think so, let us know. Please reach out to us and we'll look at your comments. And if you've liked this, if you've enjoyed it, if it's thought-provoking, please do subscribe so more people can see this and they can make their comments as well. We thank you and we look forward to seeing you on Sunday at our live stream at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.